Whether you are trying to decompress after a relentlessly long meeting, looking to optimize your focus for the day ahead, or you're just insanely curious about the intersection of neuroscience and music, today's deep dive is absolutely custom built for you.
It really is.
Yeah, we're looking at a highly detailed piece of source material. This was published on March 9th, 2026, and it details a project by TATANKA. It's called Elemental Movement Meditation, or EMM.
Right, EMM.
And our mission for this deep dive is to explore how this project uses ancient elemental symbolism, cutting-edge sound design, and somatic resonance. Basically using all that to literally hack your nervous system and guide your body into this deep, deep stillness.
It's quite an immersive piece of work. We're examining a continuous segmented sonic environment here. But it is important to note right out of the gate that this goes far beyond your typical relaxation track.
Oh, absolutely.
The creators have engineered a space that interacts with your physiology just as much as your psychology.
Okay, let's unpack this, because when I first saw the phrase 70-minute sonic journey, my mind immediately went to, a standard ambient playlist.
Like an algorithmic mix.
Exactly, the kind of thing you just put on in the background while you're clearing out your inbox. But looking through the documentation, this is an entirely different beast.
It really is. And to set the philosophical context for what TATANKA has built here, there is a very striking quote in our source material. It's from the Native American physician and writer 𝗧𝗔𝗧𝗔𝗓.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
He noted, "The elements and majestic forces in nature, lightning, wind, water, fire, and frost, were regarded with awe as spiritual powers."
That's powerful.
That reverence for the natural world is really the architectural blueprint for this entire project. What we are examining today isn't just a playlist of relaxing songs you passively consume. It's a seamless, highly engineered, acoustic environment that you physically experience.
And the structure of that experience is just fascinating. The journey is divided into 5 distinct elemental phases, and it starts with Earth. I want to dig into the starting point, because instead of diving right into the mental aspects of meditation,
Like focusing on your breath.
yeah, or trying to clear your mind, EMM starts strictly in the physical body. Why begin there instead of tackling the mental chatter right away?
Grounding the body is the essential first step toward any kind of lasting emotional or psychological balance. I mean, if you think about typical meditation, people often sit down, close their eyes, and immediately find themselves trapped in a tornado of abstract, spiraling thoughts.
Yep, the classic monkey mind.
Exactly. By starting with Earth, the acoustic environment anchors your awareness in physical sensation rather than cognitive processing. If you attempt deep emotional release without that physical anchor, the energy can feel chaotic or even entirely overwhelming.
So it's about safety.
Yes, Earth provides a dense, safe foundation to stand on, so those later emotional releases don't just sweep you away.
The sonic textures described for this phase are incredibly vivid, too. The source details deep drones, low-frequency resonance, slow rhythmic pulses, and environmental textures that evoke distant wind blowing through ancient trees. It sounds like the acoustic equivalent of a heavy-weighted blanket.
That is a great analogy. Those specific acoustic choices trigger a direct somatic response. Your nervous system physically reacts to those low frequencies.
Really?
Yeah, so listeners might actually feel a distinct warmth gathering in their feet or a comfortable heaviness in their limbs. The music is subtly instructing the nervous system to shift from a state of high alert to one of calm attentiveness.
And the movement in this phase is supposed to be super slow, right?
Incredibly slow, patient, and deliberate. It's designed to mimic geological processes.
I find that visual so compelling, moving with the patience of a shifting tectonic plate. So once the body has established that heavy, grounded foundation, the 70 minutes transition into the second phase, which is water.
And as you might expect, the rigidness dissolves into fluidity there.
Yeah, the soundscape brings in ocean waves, drifting paths, and gentle wave-like rhythms.
What's fascinating here is how this phase specifically targets the hips and the pelvis. In somatic psychology, those are the primary regions where the human body stores chronic emotional tension and stress.
That makes a lot of sense.
The soundscape in the water phase is designed to encourage movements that are spontaneous, circular, and highly expressive. The music doesn't provide a choreography to follow.
It's not a dance routine.
No, not at all. It creates a psychological container where fluid, uninhibited motion feels entirely natural and safe.
I think anyone listening to this can relate to the need for that We spend 8 to 10 hours a day folded into these supposedly ergonomic office chairs, just staring at screens. You start to adopt these incredibly rigid patterns of posture, which inevitably bleed into rigid patterns of thought.
Exactly. The physical and the mental are inextricably linked. The water phase is essentially a mechanism for teaching the body that change and movement are natural states. It cultivates emotional resilience.
By showing the body it can move.
By demonstrating to your nervous system that it is capable of letting go of that accumulated rigidity. Water represents the capacity to allow feelings to move rather than remain fixed in the musculature. As the participant sways or shifts their weight to these drifting pads, they often experience a profound sense of emotional lightness.
So the physical armor is loosened, the rigidity is gone, and you have this sense of lightness. Where does the journey take you once you're in that open state?
That lightness acts as the bridge to the energetic ascent of the journey. Phase 3 is fire, and the energy shifts significantly here.
The source notes the introduction of rhythmic percussion, a slightly increased tempo, subtle crackling textures, and glowing harmonic tones. It paints a picture of a ceremonial campfire at night.
It does.
But I have to ask, with the introduction of heavier beats, does this risk pulling the listener out of their meditative state?
It's an important distinction to make. The introduction of beats here does not mean the soundscape suddenly morphs into aggressive dance music.
Right.
The rhythms remain spacious, grounded, and deeply ceremonial. Fire symbolizes transformation and activation. The goal is to awaken vitality and courage.
Because they've already built that foundation.
Precisely. Because the listener is already grounded from the earth phase and fluid from the water phase, the rhythmic intensity doesn't induce anxiety. Instead, participants often feel a physical warmth gathering in their core or abdomen as they express that activated energy through their movement.
It sounds like a highly controlled burn. You are generating heat, but it is contained and purposeful.
That's a great way to put it.
From the intensity of that fire phase, the environment cools and expands into phase 4, which is air.
Yes, the tempo naturally eases up. The percussion fades back, and we hear the introduction of airy pads, high-altitude wind ambience, flutes, chimes, and handpans.
Just reading the description of those instruments makes my posture straighten up a bit. It feels like reaching a high mountain plateau after a strenuous, steep climb.
And that is precisely the somatic shift it's engineered to produce. Up on that metaphorical mountain plateau, listeners naturally become much more aware of their breath. There is a distinct feeling of openness and lightness in the chest and the shoulders.
So it's lifting the energy up.
Yes. The air phase serves as the critical bridge between the energetic activation you just experienced in fire and the deep, profound integration that is about to follow.
Which brings us to the final integration, phase 5.
Uh-huh.
Space. This is the peak of the 70-minute arc, but what strikes me as so poetic is that the peak is actually a valley of stillness.
It really is.
The rhythms dissolve completely. We are left with minimal, slow drones, and incredibly distant harmonic tones.
The psychological benefit of this final phase cannot be overstated. By removing the rhythmic structures entirely, the body and mind are given the uninterrupted time and space to absorb all the experiences of the previous 4 stages.
Because there's nothing left to analyze.
Exactly. Without strong auditory cues or distinct beats to follow, the analytical mind has nothing to latch onto. Thoughts naturally fade. Awareness expands outward. The transformation that began all the way back in the heavy, dense earth phase resolves into an expansive, profound calm.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because everything we just outlined, the journey from Earth to space, it sounds like a beautiful piece of artistic expression. But the source material reveals that the magic of EMM isn't just artistic. It relies heavily on applied neuroscience.
The artistry is really just the surface layer.
Yeah.
Beneath it is a highly engineered framework guiding your brain. Let's look at the harmonic continuity and key progressions.
Okay.
The album is structured to progress from darker, lower tonal centers in the earth phase to lighter, more resonant ones that you move upward, and finally into a state of calm, harmonic neutrality in the space phase.
I've put on standard ambient playlists before, and the sudden shift between tracks, maybe jumping from a song in a minor key to one in a bright major key, it can completely jolt me out of a relaxed state. How does TATANKA avoid that disruption over a full 70-minute runtime?
They utilize a technique where each section of the album shares at least one common tone with the section that follows it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Because the vast majority of listeners do not consciously perceive these subtle musical key changes, the emotional transition happens entirely subconsciously. Your brain never perceives a track boundary.
It doesn't feel like song 1 ending and song 2 beginning.
Exactly. The entire 70 minutes feels like one living, interconnected, natural environment.
That continuity seems so vital. By maintaining that shared harmonic thread, the music behaves like nature itself, gradual, organic, and unbroken.
Absolutely.
But the source also dives into brainwave entrainment and binaural beats. I've seen binaural beats used in those endless focus playlists online, but how is EMM actually deploying them to move someone from a grounded earth state to an active fire state?
It's a very sophisticated application of the technology. Binaural beats occur when you play slightly different acoustic frequencies in each ear, which is why experiencing this with high-quality headphones is highly recommended.
Right.
When the brain receives these two distinct frequencies, it processes the difference between them and perceives a rhythmic pulse.
So if you play a 200 hertz tone in the left ear and a 205 hertz tone in the right ear, the brain hears a 5 hertz pulse.
You've got it. And EMM uses that differential to gently entrain the brain's electrical activity. They embed slower delta and theta frequencies to encourage calm, meditative awareness during the grounding stages of earth and water.
And then speed it up later.
Yes. As the journey moves into fire, they introduce slightly faster alpha or low beta frequencies to support alert engagement and vitality. The music seamlessly modulates your mental state over the 70 minutes without you ever feeling pushed or manipulated.
It's systematically tuning your brainwaves. But what I find even more compelling is that it isn't just targeting the brain, it is physically manipulating the body. The documentation mentions subharmonics and somatic resonance. I have to ask, when we talk about vibrating specific body parts, is this a measurable physical phenomenon or more of a psychoacoustic trick?
It is absolutely a measurable physical phenomenon. This is where advanced sound design overlaps with physical therapy. Sound is just vibrating air molecules, and different frequencies have different wavelengths.
Okay.
Lower frequencies have longer, wider waveforms that physically interact with denser mass. In the earth phase, the deep subharmonic tones are precisely engineered to vibrate the legs and the lower torso.
That's incredible.
And as you ascend into the air phase, higher resonances with shorter waveforms are meant to vibrate the less dense cavities of the chest and the head.
So, as the listener is moving their body intuitively to the soundscape itself is physically vibrating the specific muscles and tissues they are moving.
That's the core innovation here. It creates a dynamic, closed feedback loop between the acoustic environment and your physical muscle tension. You are experiencing the sound not just through your auditory cortex, but through your entire nervous system and your physical mass.
So what does this all mean? How does someone actually apply a 70-minute neuroacoustically engineered journey into their daily routine?
The most immediate, practical value is profound stress reduction. As we touched on earlier, modern environments keep us in a state of chronic sensory overload and mental stimulation. We are constantly fluctuating in and out of sympathetic nervous system activation.
Fight or flight.
Yes, exactly. This continuous ambient field acts as a circuit breaker for that sensory overload. It systematically downregulates your nervous system, guiding it out of sympathetic activation and deep into parasympathetic recovery. Over the course of the 70 minutes, it physically slows your heart rate and deepens your breathing.
The source also brings up a really compelling point regarding traditional meditation. A lot of highly stimulated people genuinely struggle with the directive to just sit completely still on a cushion. They hit a wall of immense mental resistance and physical restlessness.
Which is a completely understandable reaction. This raises an important question. Why force stillness when the body clearly possesses trapped energy that needs to be processed?
Right.
Traditional seated meditation can indeed cause frustration for individuals accustomed to high-paced environments. By allowing participants to move intuitively to the soundscape, EMM completely bypasses that mental resistance. It allows the trapped emotional energy to circulate and physically release, rather than sitting rigidly and just ruminating on how stressed you feel.
It gets it out of your system.
Yes.
Yes.
Stillness becomes the natural byproduct at the end of the journey, rather than a forced requirement at the beginning.
That makes perfect sense. You earn the stillness rather than demanding it from yourself right out at the gate. And while TATANKA is applying this to movement meditation right now, the source article looks ahead to the future of immersive media. And the applications they are exploring are fascinating.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the future applications mentioned in the article are thrilling. We're looking at the imminent integration of this kind of sonic architecture with virtual reality, spatial audio, and interactive installations.
The potential there is massive. Imagine putting on a VR headset and stepping into a highly rendered virtual forest or an expansive star field. But instead of just a static pre-recorded audio track playing in the background, the visual projections and the 3D spatial audio are dynamically responding to your physical movements in real time.
Think about the therapeutic implications of that. If you reach your arms out, the harmonic resonance of the digital environment shifts to match your physical extension. If your heart rate elevates, the environment might automatically introduce deeper subharmonics and slower binaural beats to gently guide you back into a regulated state.
It's actively responding to you.
It transforms ambient music from a passive listening experience into a fully integrated, biologically responsive wellness environment. It becomes a deeply immersive therapeutic tool that adapts to the user's immediate nervous system requirements.
It's bridging the gap between ancient ceremonial practices and tomorrow's technology. And to tie this all together, the source features a beautiful quote from the Lakota chief, Sitting Bull. He said, "Let us put our minds together and see what life we can make for our children."
That perfectly encapsulates TATANKA's holistic mission. It is about combining profound, intuitive, artistic expression with rigorous, measurable scientific insight to genuinely support and elevate human well-being. It serves as a reminder that the highly advanced tools we build for the future can, and perhaps should, be deeply rooted in ancient wisdom and a fundamental understanding of our connection to the natural elements.
To quickly recap this incredible journey, we've explored a continuous 70-minute experience mapped across 5 elements: earth, water, fire, air, and space. We've unpacked the invisible architecture of binaural beats, shared harmonic tones, and somatic resonance, all of it working in tandem to help you bypass mental resistance and find profound stillness in an incredibly chaotic world.
It really is a masterclass in how targeted sound design can be utilized for deep nervous system regulation.
Before we sign off, I want to leave you with one final, lingering question to mull over today. We've just spent this time exploring how a carefully designed, intentional soundscape can systematically downregulate your nervous system, entrain your brain waves, and dictate the physical tension in your muscles. But if our bodies and brains are this profoundly sensitive to acoustic environments, what is the unintentional soundscape of your daily life silently instructing your nervous system to do right now without you even realizing it? Think about the constant low-grade hum of your refrigerator, the sudden sharp pings of your devices demanding attention, the erratic roar of traffic outside your window. What are those sounds programming your body to feel?
That is a brilliant thing to consider. Awareness of our everyday sonic environment is the necessary first step to intentionally changing it.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Stay curious, keep exploring your environment, and we will catch you next time.